Good afternoon, y'all. This is Ryan Jackson from Ryan Jackson LLC. Hope you all are doing good today, the day after Christmas. I know most of y'all celebrated. Um, Hope you had a good holiday, if you celebrate Christmas holiday. Hope you're doing good, you and your family doing well. Today is the first day of Kwanzaa, so may I say happy Kwanzaa. Um, I'm gonna get into the topic for this video. So if y'all can see me to my right, my dog is on the top of the couch. My dog Jackfruit. Say hi, Jack. Or he, whatever. But in any event, I'm gonna get into the topic for this video, and is Bishop Desmond Tutu unfortunately and sadly passed away last night at the age of 90. He passed away from prostate cancer, so he's not with the ancestors. Rest in peace, Bishop Tutu. Great man, phenomenal man. I remember him as a child. South Africa was always in the news during the 80s, during the Reagan administration, because of apartheid. Apartheid was South Africa's version of Jim Crow. And it's actually, I think it was probably worse there than it was here. But, it's not racist problems better here than it is there. But it was on a whole nother level in South Africa. I mean, Black people are the majority in South Africa, and the whites, the Afrikaners, what a minority. So in South Africa, it was an interesting dynamic because you had the minority ruling the majority, and we know South Africa is rich in diamonds. There's a lot of diamond mines in South Africa as well as gold. The whole African continent, it's oil. It's the richest continent on the planet. Africa is. That's why the colonizers were there to exploit the riches of the continent. And so the British, the Dutch, they came to South Africa and they exploited the resources that were there. And so just unfair practices. The British ruled South Africa for decades, and the South Africans, the Black South Africans, were pretty much slaves in their own country. They were second class citizens in their own country. Blacks couldn't walk on the same side of the street as whites. If a Black man was with a white woman, he was jailed. I know Trevor Noah mentions it a lot in his book, his autobiography, how his father was from Switzerland, his mom was from South Africa, and they couldn't they couldn't hold hands together, couldn't walk on the same side of the street. So he had to walk with his mother, and his father had to walk across the street. And it's different races of Blackness in South Africa. You have the dark South Africans, you have the South Africans that's medium complexion, you have South Africans that's light skinned. So it's crazy there. Kind of like how it was here in the back in the 18th and 19th centuries. Um, but I just remember Bishop Tutu when I was a child, and and like I said, South Africa was always in the news because of apartheid. You used to see on the news Black South Africans getting beaten, shot, jailed just for protesting apartheid from the white colonizers in South Africa. And Desmond Tutu would meet with with President Reagan. This was in 84, 85. Now, Nelson Mandela, rest his soul, he passed away in 2013. He was in prison on Robben Island, secluded island in South Africa. He was in prison. I think he was in prison there in 1963, 64. No, it's 27 years. I want to say 63. He was released in February 1990. So yeah, and Bishop Tutu was fighting fighting apartheid here, going meeting with President Reagan here, going around the world fighting apartheid. I just remember that about him. Real peaceful man, but he was very militant. Um, a lot of his fellow bishops thought he was too radical, and then there were some that thought he wasn't radical enough. So he was just true to himself. That's what I will always remember about Bishop Desmond Tutu, just being true to himself. I admired him. And I saw Bishop Desmond Tutu in 1990. He accompanied Nelson Mandela and Willie Mandela when Mr. Mandela was released. He did an 11-city U.S. tour. He went to New York, L.A., Chicago, Boston, D.C., and he came to Detroit. I forgot the other city, and I think San Francisco. But I remember him coming to Detroit at the old Tiger Stadium. A lot of my people from Detroit, y'all remember the old Tiger Stadium on Michigan Avenue in Trumbull. The corner is what we called it. He was there. My mother and my grandmother, rest her soul. June of 1990, I was 14 years old. They took me to go see Nelson Mandela because he was speaking at Tiger Stadium, and Bishop Desmond Tutu was with him, and he spoke. And I would never forget it as long as I live. I would never forget it. It was a great moment in my life. I wasn't around to see Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, um, peace be unto these men, Dr. King, peace be unto him as well, rest his soul. I wasn't able to see these men. I wasn't able to see them. I wasn't able to go to the Million Man March in 1995 that Minister Farrakhan had in D.C. I wasn't able to go to the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. So I haven't been able to see Mr. Farrakhan, and I hope at some point I do. While he's still with us. But seeing Nelson Mandela and Bishop Tutu was a great experience for me, and I will never forget it. It was 31 years ago, almost 32 years ago. And like I said, Bishop Tutu was a strong man of great conviction. He fought against apartheid, not just in South Africa, but racist injustice all over the world. Not just in South Africa, but all over the world. And I'm going to go through a couple of his credentials here. There's so many. So he was Bishop of Johannesburg from 1985 to 1986. He was Archbishop of Cape Town from 1986 to 1996. And he emerged as one of the most prominent opponents of South Africa's apartheid, which I just mentioned, which is their system of racial segregation and white minority rule. Like I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, the white minority ruled the black majority in South Africa. So it was interesting how the dynamic was there. Here in the United States, the whites are the majority, and the blacks are the minority as far as population, that if you will. We're not a minor race by any stretch of the imagination. When I say minority, I mean as far as the population as a whole. But we're not a minor race at all. So don't get it twisted. But yeah, so South Africa was an interesting dynamic in that the minority ruled the majority. The minority had the guns, they had the weapons. The majority they had the protests. And yes, some of them had weapons, but the minority had the backing of the British government and the governments of Europe. So in essence, the minority was the majority, and the majority was minority. So, and 1986, it's an interesting year. The Republican Party, Ronald Reagan was president in 1986. his own party, the Republican Party, went against him because President Reagan would not, let me repeat, would not put sanctions against South Africa for apartheid. He refused to put sanctions on, I think it was F.W. de Klerk was the president of South Africa. De Klerk, I think it was de Klerk. Or was it P.W. Botha? Was it Botha or was it de Klerk? I can't remember. Whomever it was, President Reagan would not refuse to put sanctions on South Africa. He refused, vehemently refused. And the Republican Party in 1986, look it up, 1986, the white majority, well, they both white majority, but the conservative Republican Party said, Mr. President, you are wrong, and we will not stand with you on this issue. We will stand against you on the issue of apartheid. They did this in 1986. 1986. Yes, they did. They went against their president, Ronald Reagan. They went against him. They sure did. He refused to put sanctions on South Africa for their practice of apartheid. And it was a slap in the face to everything that Mr. Tutu was fighting for. He had just met him in '84. I remember when he came to Washington. What was that meeting about? I mean, was it for optics? We know Reagan was a racist. We know how Reagan got down with the black community in the 80s, putting drugs in our community, crack cocaine, destroyed our communities, the war on drugs. Y'all remember that? My people that came up in the 1980s, y'all remember that? The war on drugs when Nancy Reagan was going around the country, going to the schools, say no to drugs, dare. That was a joke. That was a damn joke. They put drugs in our community. COINTELPRO, the CIA, in every major city, every black community in every major city had a crack problem. Amazingly, had a crack problem. We didn't bring it here. The government did. The Reagan administration did. And they built prisons when Bill Clinton came into office in '93. Joe Biden's crime bill in 1994, and Bill Clinton built more prisons than any president in U.S. history to this date. And it was just an extension of Reagan's war on drugs. That's all the Clinton administration was. It actually was started under Nixon, because Nixon declared a war on drugs, but he he quit, he resigned. So Gerald Ford was there for a couple of years. Then Jimmy Carter, then it took a break. Then Reagan beat Carter in 1980 and was elected president, inaugurated in '81. So from '81 to '89, you had that war on drugs all throughout the decade of the '80s, all throughout that decade, from '81 to '89, the war on drugs. That was Reagan's, that was how he got back at the black community, by putting drugs in our community, destroying us, in Flint, Michigan. Flint has never recovered from what happened to them in '87 when Reagan took those jobs from that Dodge plant and sent them down to Mexico. They never recovered from that. And he put drugs in Flint too, because Flint is predominantly, it was working class blacks, working class whites, and working class Hispanics. Flint is a blue collar city, and Reagan just destroyed. Oh my God, I don't want to get into him, but that's the decade of the '80s was the war on drugs, and then going into the Bush administration, H.W. Bush from 89 to 93. Clinton won in 92. Well, was inaugurated in 93. It was all an extension. So you have from 81 to really 2000 when when W. Bush got elected. So you had a 20-year span of Reaganomics just continuing, even with Bill Clinton, a Democrat. It was just an extension of what Ronald Reagan did. When Joe Biden and Clinton with that 1994 crime bill, and when Bill Clinton built all them prisons and sent thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of black men to the gulags. It was just an extension of what Ronald Reagan was doing and what he wanted to do in 81. It was just an extension. But Bill Clinton and Joe Biden took it to a whole nother level. The Democrats, y'all so-called friends, your Uncle Joe, Bill Clinton that played the saxophone on Arsenio Hall show and went on Yo MTV Raps and MTV and telling young people, young black kids to rock the vote. Y'all friend, y'all first black president. That's what y'all called him. Yes, y'all did. I remember it. I was there. I witnessed it happen. But I go into this. I know this video is about Bishop Desmond Tutu, but I go into this to say this is what he was fighting against: the imprisonment of our people, black people getting thrown into jail, getting long sentences for minor crimes is apartheid. That's what Mr. Tutu was fighting against. That's what they were doing in South Africa. That's what Mr. Mandela was in prison for, was fighting apartheid. The man was in prison for 27 years, y'all. 27 years on the island, Robben Island, unjustly in prison. Many of our black men were unjustly in prison. When white people do drugs, it's a health crisis. They have attention. They get medical attention. They get treatment. What do we get? We get sent to jail for 25, 30 years for minimal drug crimes. This is what Mr. Tutu was talking about, not just in South Africa, but around the world. This is what this man was risking his life for. And God rest his soul. Rest in peace, Bishop Tutu. Rest in peace. 90 years is a long time. And he's with the ancestors. Rest in peace, Bishop Desmond Tutu. Great man. We lost a great one, y'all. We lost a great one. He will not be forgotten. And my condolences go out to his family, to the South African people, and just to the black community, because we lost, even though he wasn't here in the United States, but his works still affect us here in the States for what he did in South Africa, what he was fighting for. So rest in peace, Bishop Desmond Tutu. You're with the ancestors. You're with Mr. Mandela. You're with Dr. King. You're with Malcolm X. You're with Elijah Muhammad. You're with Marcus Garvey, Ida B. Wells, W.E.B. Du Bois, Nat Turner, Dr. Huey Newton. You're with the great ones. You're with the great ones. Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass. You're with the great ones, sir. Thank you for what you did. And I was honored to have seen you and Mr. Mandela in 1990, in June of 1990, in Detroit at the Old Tiger Stadium. That was probably the greatest event of my life that I've witnessed, that I was actually at. Oh, I think I'm glad my mother and my grandmother allowed me to see that. I am. And like I said, I can't thank you enough, Bishop Tutu, for your hard work and for your dedication to the struggle of Black people, not just in South Africa, but throughout the world, on the planet. Thank you, Mr. Tutu. Rest in heaven. May your soul rest in peace. Thank you, good sir. On that note, y'all have a good rest of your day. I may come on here later. I don't know yet. Just moved, so a little tired from that and from the having family over. Like I said, I'm not big into Christmas. I don't celebrate Christmas, but to those of you who do, hope you had a good holiday season. Hope you're having a good holiday season and happy Kwanzaa. All right, y'all. Till next time, take care. And like I always said, we don't have to agree, but let's disagree without being disagreeable. Let's do that, y'all. If you already haven't, smash that like button down, smash it, smash it, smash it. Subscribe to the channel and feel free to comment. Please feel free to comment. Let me know what you think. Drop your comments below. Hit that like button and please subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Really need the love and support. My podcast, I'm going to be doing those soon. I have to, like I said, we just moved, so I have to set everything up. So I should be back to getting on my podcast probably here this week. I know it's been a month. Yeah, time going by fast. So it's been a month. So I'm going to get back on doing those. Um, until then, in the meantime, I'm going to be on here on YouTube. So, like I said, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, and please feel free to comment. Appreciate the love and support. It's greatly needed. All right, y'all. Y'all take care. Have a good day. I love y'all much, and God bless. All right. All right. Take care, y'all. Love you. I'm out. Peace.